here's the brutal truth nobody wants to talk about. Modern handguns are built for 20-somethings with titanium wrists and gorilla grips. Try racking the slide on most compact 9s when you're dealing with arthritis, and you'll quickly realize you're fighting the gun before you even get to the range. But here's what they don't tell you. Getting older doesn't mean giving up your right to defend yourself. It just means you need to be smarter about what you're carrying. Today we're breaking down 10 handguns that actually make sense for senior shooters. We're talking low recoil, simple operation, and most importantly, guns that won't bankrupt your budget or punish your hands. Every single option on this list costs less than $200. No gimmicks, no complicated controls, just reliable firepower that respects both your joints and your wallet. Let's start at number 10. Altor 9mm single shot. The Altor looks absolutely nothing like a traditional pistol, and that's exactly the point. This single-shot design strips away everything that makes modern handguns difficult to operate. No magazine to load under pressure. No slide to rack with arthritic hands. No safety levers to remember when your adrenaline's pumping. You twist the barrel open, drop in a round, close it, and pull the trigger. That's your entire operation manual. The frame is molded polymer with a zinc alloy upper, and the whole thing weighs just over 10 ounces. There's no trigger guard, which sounds dangerous until you understand the double-action trigger is so long and deliberate that accidental discharge is virtually impossible. Now, should you trust this as your primary carry gun for rapid engagement? Absolutely not. But if you're looking for something dead simple that you can keep in a nightstand drawer without worrying about springs weakening or mechanisms jamming, this delivers exactly that. For under $100, you get center-fire power without any of the complexity. It's not fancy, but when your hands don't work like they used to, fancy is overrated. Number 9. Kel-Tec P32. Here's where things get interesting. The Kel-Tec P32 chambers, 32 ACP, and before you dismiss that caliber, understand what it offers. This round sits perfectly between the anemic 22 LR and the snappy 380 ACP. You get more stopping power than rimfire with significantly less recoil than what most pocket guns deliver. For senior shooters, that balance changes everything. The pistol weighs just 6.5 ounces unloaded. It's built with a locked breech action that absorbs recoil better than most blowback designs. The slide is surprisingly easy to rack, especially compared to budget options like the High Point or even many 380 subcompacts. Capacity is 7+1, and the double-action only trigger is long but smooth. No external safeties to fumble with under stress. This replaced the old Raven Arms MP25 on most recommendation lists for good reason. Most surviving Ravens are worn out and impossible to service. The P32 is still in production, backed by Kel-Tec's warranty, and benefits from decades of real-world testing. The sights are minimal and the trigger won't win awards, but for under $200, you're getting one of the softest shooting centerfire pistols available. That makes all the difference when your hands can't afford to fight the gun. Number 8. Cobra Classic 380 ACP Derringer. The Cobra Derringer is about as old school as it gets. 2 shots, break-action design, stacked barrels in an over-under layout. This is a palm-sized stainless steel pocket gun that hasn't changed much since the Frontier days. It weighs just under 10 ounces, and the trigger is single-action, meaning you manually cock the hammer before each shot. But here's what makes it work for seniors. There's nothing to rack, no magazine to fight, and no recoil spring to struggle against. You load 2 rounds, close the action, cock the hammer, and you're ready. The simplicity is the selling point. That said, the trigger pull is heavy, accuracy beyond a few yards is optimistic, and the sights are basically non-existent. Reloading under stress is slow and clunky. So what's the real use case? If you need something for extreme close quarters that you can toss in a coat pocket or leave in a small safe, the Cobra Derringer fills that niche. It's not a primary weapon, and it's not built for extended fights. But for someone with hand issues who can't trust a semi-auto to cycle reliably, 2 rounds of 380 ACP beats nothing every single time. Number 7. Heritage Barkeep. The Heritage Barkeep takes the beloved Rough Rider platform and shrinks it down into a compact snub-nose package. Chambered in 22 LR, it's light on recoil, cheap to feed, and perfect for shooters who want range time without joint pain. The gun weighs around 27 ounces with a 2-inch barrel, giving it just enough sight radius for decent accuracy at close range. The frame is zinc alloy with a steel barrel liner, and it comes in several finishes from wood to synthetic grips. Now here's the catch. Because it's single action, you have to cock the hammer before each shot. That may be a deal breaker if you have serious finger dexterity issues. And like most fixed-cylinder single actions, reloading is slow. You eject each spent case one at a time through a loading gate. But here's what you gain. There are no springs to fight, no slide to rack, no magazines to seat. Everything is mechanical, deliberate, and simple. For seniors who enjoy a nostalgic feel or want a low-recoil plinker that doubles as a backup defensive tool, the Barkeep delivers that cowboy confidence without beating up your hands. Just know that speed reloads aren't happening. Number 6. Taurus PT-22. Poly. The Taurus PT-22. Poly earns this spot for one killer feature: the tip-up barrel. You don't need to rack the slide at all. Just flip the barrel open, load a round directly into the chamber, close it, and you're ready to fire. For shooters with arthritis, weak hands, or poor finger strength, that one design choice is a game changer. This double-action only pocket pistol weighs just over 11 ounces and gives you 8+1 rounds of 22 LR. The polymer frame helps cut weight while soaking up what little recoil rimfire produces. The trigger is heavy but smooth enough, and the frame is small enough to disappear in a pocket holster. Yes, the sights are tiny. Yes, like most rimfires, you'll want quality ammo for best reliability. But for someone who doesn't want to fight a stiff slide or remember a bunch of controls under stress, this little Taurus offers real-world simplicity in an approachable package. It replaced the Cobra 22 Derringer on this list because it's simply more capable. 2 shots and terrible sights don't compare to 9 rounds and a gun that actually points naturally. For under $200, the PT-22 Poly is far more shootable than it looks. Number 5. Phoenix Arms HP-22A. The Phoenix Arms HP-22A is one of those budget pistols that surprises people. Chambered in 22 LR, it offers 10+1 rounds in a compact blowback platform that weighs just over 20 ounces. The all-metal frame gives it a solid feel, and the fixed barrel helps with accuracy at defensive distances. Now, let's talk controls, because this gun has more levers than you might expect. There's a manual safety, a magazine disconnect, and even a separate slide lock. For seniors or new shooters, that can be a learning curve. But once you get familiar, it runs reliably with good ammo, and it's one of the very few pistols in this price range that feels like a real gun, not a novelty. The slide is small but reasonably easy to rack for a rimfire, and recoil is soft enough for anyone to manage. Field stripping isn't the easiest, and yes, you'll want to keep it clean, especially with bulk rimfire ammo. But here's the thing: if you want a range gun that doubles as a backup, something with more capacity and better accuracy than your average Derringer, the HP-22A delivers. For under $200, it's not perfect, but it gives seniors a capable steel-framed rimfire option that's both affordable and genuinely enjoyable to shoot. Number 4. Hi-Point CF380. The Hi-Point CF380 might not win beauty contests, but it has two things locked down: price and simplicity. Built around a direct blowback system, this full-sized pistol fires 380 ACP from an all-polymer frame with a heavy zinc alloy slide. It weighs around 29 ounces unloaded, which sounds heavy until you realize that weight is exactly what tames recoil. For seniors who don't want a snappy pistol jumping out of their hands, that added mass becomes an advantage. The slide is a bit stiff to rack, and the trigger is heavy with some creep, but reliability is surprisingly solid if you feed it decent ammo and keep it clean. The sights are large and easy to pick up, and there's a manual safety along with a magazine disconnect. Let's be real. This is not a sleek carry gun. It's bulky, blocky, and not something you're concealing inside the waistband all day. But for home defense, glove box duty, or range practice, it checks the boxes. Seniors with limited grip strength may want to test the slide before committing, but once it's loaded and chambered, the CF380 runs simple, hits soft, and does what it's supposed to do on a budget. It's ugly, it's heavy, but it works. Number 3. Hi-Point C9. The Hi-Point C9 is probably one of the most talked about budget pistols in existence. Chambered in 9mm, it's incredibly affordable and has a reputation for running dirty, beat up, and still going bang. Built with a polymer frame and a massive zinc alloy slide, the C9 weighs around 29 ounces unloaded. That weight helps reduce recoil, but also makes it feel front-heavy. For seniors with weaker wrists or limited endurance, that can be a deal-breaker. The blowback design means the slide is thick, heavy, and a little tough to rack. The trigger is spongy but functional, and the safety is manual with a mag disconnect built in. Accuracy is decent at close range, and the simple fixed barrel system keeps things reliable. Here's the truth: if you can handle the weight, don't mind the chunky size, and want a gun that eats 9mm on a tight budget, the C9 still makes sense. But for seniors dealing with arthritis, poor hand strength, or reduced flexibility, it might become more of a chore than a confidence builder. This is one of those guns that works, no doubt, but it demands a little more effort than some of the other options on this list. It's a brick. It's not refined, but if you can manage it, it's a workhorse that does the job. Number 2. SCCY CPX3. The SCCY CPX3 is one of the most overlooked pistols in the subcompact category, and honestly, it's a fantastic fit for seniors looking for low recoil without giving up capacity or reliability. Chambered in 380 ACP, the CPX3 uses a straight blowback system but softens recoil with a polymer frame and a stainless steel slide that's light enough to rack with ease. It weighs around 15 ounces unloaded and carries 10+1 rounds, making it one of the few budget pistols in this category that offers real firepower without punishing your hands. The grip has soft polymer panels with gentle contouring that works well even for arthritic fingers. The trigger is double action only, long but smooth, and there's no external safety to worry about. Field stripping is simple, and maintenance is low effort. For seniors who want something they can carry every day without bulk or complexity, this is the kind of gun that builds confidence. It's easy to load, easy to shoot, and easy to understand. Now, it's not a competition pistol. Sights are basic, and the trigger reset is long. But as a defensive carry option that won't beat up your wrist or leave you second-guessing slide strength, the CPX3 stands out in a crowded field. It's a modern solution for real-world hands, and for under $200, it's hard to beat. Number 1. Heritage Rough Rider. The Heritage Rough Rider takes the top spot on this list for one simple reason: it just makes sense. Chambered in 22 LR, it delivers low recoil, old-school reliability, and mechanical simplicity that's perfect for senior shooters who don't want to fight with modern semi-autos. The gun uses a single-action revolver system just like the old cowboy guns, where you manually cock the hammer before each shot. That might sound slow to some, but it gives you total control over every round fired and eliminates the risk of accidental discharge from a nervous trigger finger. The frame is alloy, the barrel is steel-lined, and grip options range from wood to synthetic. Weight comes in around 33 ounces, which actually helps soak up what little recoil 22 LR produces. The Rough Rider is accurate, easy to clean, and as dependable as they come. For seniors with reduced grip strength, it's a breath of fresh air. No slide to rack, no magazine to seat, no springs to fight. Just load 6 rounds into the cylinder, close the loading gate, and go. Reloading takes time, yes, but for home defense, backyard plinking, or just something that feels right in the hand, the Rough Rider delivers. It's affordable, simple, soft shooting, and built to last. That's why it earns the #1 spot. Final thoughts. Aging doesn't make you weaker. It just makes your decisions matter more. You don't need a race gun. You don't need the latest tactical gimmick. You need something you can trust, even on your worst day with tired hands, stiff joints, and a mind focused on survival. Every gun on this list was chosen with that in mind. Not hype, not trends. Function, simplicity, and confidence. Because when people look for reliable concealed carry firearms, lightweight revolvers remain one of the most trusted options because they are simple, durable, and extremely easy to operate under stress. Modern manufacturing has made ultralight materials like scandium, titanium, and aerospace-grade aluminum strong enough to handle powerful defensive calibers without adding unnecessary weight. And that's why today's lightweight revolvers continue to be favored by both beginners and experienced carriers. Among the most respected options is the Smith & Wesson Airweight series, especially the Model 642 and 442. These revolvers weigh around 14.5 ounces, use a snag-free enclosed hammer design, and are chambered in 38 Special Plus P, making them manageable to shoot, while still providing adequate stopping power. Their compact profile allows them to disappear easily in a pocket holster, ankle holster, or small IWB setup. The long-standing reputation of reliability and the ease of use under pressure make these revolvers a top choice. For those seeking even lighter performance, the Smith & Wesson Airlight series is worth considering. Models like the 340 PD weigh under 12 ounces but can chamber .357 Magnum, a level of power very few ultralight guns can support. The titanium cylinder and scandium alloy frame allow incredible strength while stripping away nearly all extra mass. Although firing .357 Magnum in such a light frame produces sharp recoil, many carriers load .38 plus P for regular use and keep the Magnum capability as an option. This flexibility, combined with extreme portability, is the hallmark of the Airlight line. Ruger also has excellent lightweight options, most notably the Ruger LCR series. The LCR became popular because of its innovative polymer and aluminum frame, which absorbs recoil better than traditional metal frame revolvers. The trigger system on the LCR is widely considered one of the smoothest double-action pulls available out of the box, making accurate rapid fire much easier. The LCR comes in multiple calibers: 22 LR for training, 22 Magnum for low recoil carry, 38 Special Plus P, and even .357 Magnum. The 38 Plus P version weighs about 13.5 ounces, while the .357 Magnum variant is slightly heavier but provides strong defensive capability. Many concealed carriers choose the LCR because of its combination of recoil control, low weight, and affordability. A step up in durability and shootability is the Ruger SP-101, which, while heavier than ultralight models, still counts as lightweight compared to traditional revolvers. It provides a more controllable shooting experience thanks to its stainless steel construction and solid lockup. While not as pocket-friendly as the LCR or Airweight line, the SP-101 remains a top choice for those prioritizing ruggedness without carrying a bulky firearm. It is especially favored by people who want a revolver that can still comfortably handle magnum loads but doesn't feel like a brick. For those who want something different, the Kimber K6S has become one of the most impressive modern lightweight defensive revolvers. With a 6-shot capacity, more than the typical 5-shot snub nose, it offers extra firepower without compromising concealment. The all-steel construction adds stability during firing, yet the revolver remains compact enough for daily carry. Kimber's refined trigger system and smooth machining give the K6S a premium feel, making it attractive to carriers who want top-tier ergonomics and performance. Despite being slightly heavier than polymer or alloy revolvers, the shootability and precision make it a popular choice among enthusiasts. Another option worth mentioning is the Taurus 856 Ultra Light. This 6-shot .38 special revolver provides an affordable lightweight carry alternative. It weighs around 16 ounces, uses an aluminum frame, and is known for reliability despite its budget-friendly price point. Many carriers appreciate having 6 rounds instead of 5, and the revolver's simple design makes it easy to maintain. While Taurus revolvers may not have the same longevity record as premium brands, newer models, especially the ultralight series, have significantly improved build quality and consistency. Ultimately, the best lightweight revolver depends on your priorities. If portability is the top concern, the Smith & Wesson Airlight models are unmatched. For comfort and shootability, the Ruger LCR offers one of the most user-friendly designs. If durability and long-term use matter most, the SP-101 or Kimber K6S may be the better choice. And for budget-conscious carriers, the Taurus Ultralight series delivers solid performance with lower cost. Regardless of which model you choose, the appeal of lightweight revolvers remains the same. Simplicity, reliability, and the confidence of a point-and-shoot tool that functions in any condition. Lightweight arms designed for concealed carry have become increasingly refined over the past decade, blending compact frames, advanced alloys, and recoil-mitigating engineering to create options that are far easier to live with than the heavy steel handguns of earlier generations. Many companies have pushed the boundaries on weight reduction, experimenting with scandium, aluminum, and polymer components while still maintaining durability that can withstand daily carry. What sets these lightweight revolvers apart isn't just the grams they shed, it's how they preserve reliability and user confidence despite that smaller footprint. For individuals who prioritize discreet carry, minimal printing, and a firearm that won't drag on a belt or pocket during an entire day of movement, these models stand out because they make concealment feel effortless. One thing that continues to define this category is the balance between weight and controllability. Revolvers that drop below a certain threshold in mass tend to produce sharper recoil impulses, especially with defensive loads, but modern designs deliberately address that. Some frames incorporate special alloys that stiffen under pressure, reducing flex and improving shot stability. Others use carefully engineered grip geometry to help the shooter maintain leverage without needing a bulky handle that defeats the purpose of a compact firearm. That balance between portability and shootability is part of what makes certain lightweight revolvers consistently respected among experienced carriers. A major reason lightweight revolvers remain popular in 2025 is their sheer mechanical simplicity. Even though semi-automatic pistols have become wildly reliable, the appeal of a revolver that has no magazines, no slide manipulation, and almost no chance of jamming under normal conditions is undeniable. For many carriers who just want something small, predictable, and easy to draw from a pocket or holster, a revolver's consistent trigger pull and straightforward operation provide reassurance. In stressful situations where adrenaline makes fine motor skills unpredictable, people appreciate a tool that doesn't require multiple steps or technical familiarity. This simplicity, paired with a weight that often sits under 15 ounces, explains why these models continue to have a devoted following. Lightweight arms also benefit from the fact that revolvers can chamber powerful defensive cartridges without requiring the kind of bulk that a semi-auto would need to handle equivalent pressures. Even compact models can accommodate well-known calibers that create effective stopping capability despite the gun's smaller dimensions. Manufacturers have spent years tuning their cylinders, barrels, and frames so that even with minimal weight, the firearm doesn't feel unmanageable. There has been a noticeable rise in models that feature short barrels paired with improved metallurgy, allowing them to safely handle a wider range of ammunition options without compromising structural integrity. Technology has also influenced how lightweight revolvers evolve. Advances in CNC machining allow companies to produce precisely fitted components that enhance accuracy despite short sight radii. Some revolvers incorporate subtle improvements like improved rifling, frame-mounted firing mechanisms, and enhanced lockup systems that tighten barrel-to-cylinder alignment. These kinds of changes may not be immediately noticeable to casual observers, but they contribute to a smoother, more predictable experience when firing. The result is a category of firearms that feels refined instead of compromised, even with the emphasis on reduced weight. Another appealing aspect of lightweight revolvers is their longevity. Because they do not rely on magazines or springs that weaken over time, they can sit loaded for long periods without suffering functional degradation. Many carriers appreciate that these guns can be stored for emergency use with minimal maintenance beyond normal cleaning and inspection, and they will still perform exactly as expected. The simple internal mechanism reduces the number of potential failure points, and modern engineering ensures that even daily use does not quickly wear down the frame or moving parts. Lightweight arms also make sense for individuals who choose to carry as a backup weapon. Whether for professional use or personal preference, many find that a small revolver can be tucked into secondary carry locations where a larger handgun would be impractical. Its simplicity means that in the rare event a primary firearm becomes inaccessible or malfunctions, this backup option can immediately be put into service with little thought or manipulation. The peace of mind that comes from knowing a compact, lightweight tool is always accessible is one of the biggest reasons these revolvers maintain relevance in a world dominated by semi-automatic pistols. There's also an economic aspect to consider. Lightweight revolvers tend to be mechanically robust and do not require many aftermarket accessories, which keeps long-term costs down. Holsters, grips, and basic cleaning supplies are usually all a person needs. Because the design hasn't dramatically changed in decades, owners often find it easy to source parts or support if needed, even for older models. This timelessness adds to their value and helps explain why many people keep such a firearm for years or even decades without feeling the need to upgrade. In the end, the enduring appeal of lightweight revolvers comes from a combination of portability, reliability, comfort, and long-term practicality. Their small size makes them easy to integrate into everyday. Let me tell you something real quick. Most people online talk about reliable pistols like it's a fashion contest, but when you actually drag those guns through mud, sand, heat, and abuse, most of them tap out. This list isn't about what looks good in a thumbnail or what some fanboy swears by in the comments. These are the 13 pistols that got shoved straight through hell, dropped, buried, run filthy, starved of oil, limp-wristed, and hammered with thousands of rounds, and still refuse to quit. By the time you hear number 1, you're going to have a completely different idea of what reliable really means. Before getting into the guns, here's the deal. Marketing claims don't matter under pressure. You can have the prettiest trigger, coolest slide cuts, and the nicest Cerakote in the state. But if the pistol chokes when it's hot, dirty, or handled badly, it's just an expensive paperweight. What matters is what survives the gauntlet. Mud baths, dust storms, cold nights in the truck, range days where nobody bothers to clean or lube anything, and real-world carry conditions where guns get sweat on, dropped, and forgotten. Every pistol on this list didn't perform well in that environment. It made it out with 0 failures. Not one stovepipe, not one light strike, not one tap-rack-bang moment. Let's start with one of the most predictable names that still somehow keeps earning its spot, the Glock 19 Gen 5. You've heard the hype 1,000 times, but strip the fanboy noise away, and what you have is a compact workhorse that just doesn't know how to stop. Think of it like your granddad's old wrench, the ugly one with the tape on the handle that still beats every fancy tool set off Amazon. This thing has been thrown in glove boxes for years, dropped out of trucks, buried in ranch dirt, and pulled out after being ignored for seasons at a time. And it still goes bang every single time you pull the trigger. Cops carry it, military units trust it, and internet torture test channels have tried everything short of running it over with a train to make it fail. It's not pretty, it's not exotic, but when things go sideways and you can only grab one pistol, this is that no questions asked pick. Right behind it is the full-metal bruiser that laughs at polymer trends, the CZ75S P01 Tactical. If the Glock 19 is the beat-up wrench, the SP01 is the sledgehammer with a graduate degree. It's heavy, unapologetically steel, and it doesn't care about your lightweight carry obsession. But once you start shooting it, the weight turns into a cheat code. The slide runs like it's on polished rails, the recoil feels more like a firm handshake than a slap, and shot after shot stays where you put it. This gun has seen muddy ranges, cold mornings, sweaty summer matches, and rough handling that would make a safe queen cry. And it still cycles like a sewing machine stitched out of concrete. This isn't a gun, you baby. It's a gun you drag through your worst days and expect to work anyway. Then there's the SIG P226 Legion, the pistol that proves duty grade can still feel refined. This gun has been run in brutal conditions, thousands upon thousands of rounds through sandy, dusty, scorching days, and it just chews brass like someone owes it money. You can shoot it until your hands are tired, the slide is hot enough to fry breakfast on, and the mags are coated in grime, and the Legion keeps feeding like it's on a mission not to embarrass you. The trigger break is crisp, the reset is short, and the overall feel screams grown-up sidearm. When people talk about a pistol that gives them confidence in the worst scenarios, this one shows up again and again, not because it's trendy, but because it has proven it will not quit. On the quiet professional side of the list, you have pistols like the HKV P9 Tactical. This is the gun that guys who've seen real chaos keep around, not because it's flashy, but because they never have to second-guess it. It rides under truck seats, gets dropped in the dirt, gets rained on, and still delivers the same clean, deliberate cycle every time the trigger is pulled. The reset snaps back faster than your finger is ready. The controls are intuitive, and it just shrugs off neglect. It's the pistol equivalent of that one coworker who never calls in sick, never complains, and always gets the job done. Other guns demand your attention. This one just wants to be there when everything else breaks. Now swing over to the Smith & Wesson M&PM 2.0 compact metal. This pistol does not care about being photogenic. You can drag it across an unpaved road, drop it out of a bed of a pickup, spill coffee on it, and shove it back into a holster with dust still clinging to it. And it will treat you like nothing happened. The grip texture is borderline rude, designed for hands that are wet, sweaty, or numb, not for posing on social media. The trigger is improved, tight, and honest. It's a gun built for those times you're on a dirt road at night and hear something moving in the brush. It's not here for aesthetics. It's here for the part of your life where nice to have becomes need this to work right now. The Walther PDP full size makes the list because it simply doesn't care what your ammo budget looks like. Cheap steel, brass, reloads from that one sketchy friend. It just keeps cycling. Starve it of oil, forget to clean it for multiple range sessions, drop it in sand, pull it back out, and it still runs like it's trying to earn a competition trophy. The grip digs in just enough to lock you in. The trigger brake feels like it belongs on something far more expensive. And recoil is so manageable it almost feels disrespectful. If you want a pistol that flat out refuses to be picky or fragile, this is the one you use to embarrass every other premium gun that chokes on budget ammo. Then there's the FN509 Compact MRD, a pistol that comes from a lineage of surviving military trials. Most guns would fail in the first week. This gun has been dropped in fine sand, soaked in mud, stuffed under waistbands in brutal heat, and forgotten on tailgates during storms. Yet when you pick it up and press the trigger, it answers. The optic-ready slide, rugged build, and no-nonsense controls aren't about looking cool. They're about keeping the gun as close to bomb-proof as a 9mm can reasonably get. This pistol isn't an accessory. It's a tool for people who don't have time to worry whether their gun is in the mood to work today. When the list gets to pistols like the Springfield XDM Elite Tactical OSP, things start to feel almost unfair. This gun has eaten through obscene amounts of ammo in one sitting, mag after mag after mag, without a single stoppage. Online, some people call it bulky or overkill. At the range, it just keeps punching holes exactly where it's pointed. Slide wear, frame scratches, carbon buildup, it treats all of that like cosmetic inconvenience. The longer you run it, the more it feels like it was built not just to last, but to be actively abused. It's not here to impress influencers, it's here to show up every single time you need it. And you can't ignore the budget surprise category. Guns like the Canik TP9 series style pistols, or Turkish-built tanks that people bought just to see and ended up falling in love with. These are the guns that came in with low expectations and left with legendary reputations. Thrown into sandy ranges, baked in summer heat with no lube, run well over 1,000 rounds in a session. They just kept running. Shooters kept them dirty on purpose, waiting for their first hiccup, and walked away disappointed only because the failure never came. No pedigree, no big brand aura, just raw performance that embarrasses more expensive options. You also get the old workhorses on this list, like the Ruger SR9, guns that manufacturers quietly discontinued while owners quietly refused to let go. These pistols have lived under truck seats, in dusty duffel bags, and inside damp barns. They've been pulled out half-rusted, scraped off, racked once, and emptied into steel targets with not a single cough. Folks keep them around not because they're pretty or trending, but because those guns have already proven they'll still work after years of neglect. It's the definition of a trust gun. Not fancy, not modern, but always ready. Throw in the Beretta M9, and the story gets even more old school. This is the pistol that survived war zones before it survived toolboxes and glove compartments. There are M9s out there that have seen sandstorms, jungle humidity, and catastrophic weather, then came home to ride around in civilian trucks, and still function when dragged out years later. It's not a lightweight carry, darling, and definitely not the hot new release. But if you want a history of surviving brutal environments and bad habits, this thing has a resume no influencer gun can match. Then you've got the Walther PPQM2, a sleeper that never quite reached meme status but quietly outshot and outlasted a lot of more famous pistols. High round counts, minimal part swaps, negligent cleaning, and still zero failures. Its internals and trigger feel like something designed by engineers who cared more about feel and reliability than about chasing whatever trend was buzzing that year. In a world obsessed with new models, this one just kept showing up to the range and doing its job without complaint. On the polymer legend side again, the Glock 17 Gen 5 makes its appearance as the big brother that simply refuses to die. This is the gun that has been frozen, baked, dragged, dropped, and jammed full of pocket lint and debris, and yet keeps unloading full mags like nothing happened. Law enforcement, security, and serious shooters use it because it behaves the same on day 1, day 1000, and after every stupid thing some YouTuber tries to do to break it. If you want full-size predictability under chaos, this is it. Of course, the list has to end with something different. The Smith & Wesson 686 Plus. Yes, a revolver in a sea of semi-autos, but this one earns its place. In a world where feeds can jam, mags can fail, and springs can get tired, the 686 Plus just keeps cycling as long as your finger works and you've got rounds in the cylinder. Decades of use, miserable weather, hard carry, and you still get that same solid lockup and bark every time you roll the trigger. It's heavy, it's old school, but if your only requirement is, "This must fire when I need it," there are not many things more reassuring than a battle-tested .357 that refuses to go out of style. Put all of these together, and a pattern appears. Reliable pistols don't care about your opinions. They don't care about brand wars in the comments section, or which one has the fanciest trigger shoe. The guns that passed every test share the same traits. They run dirty, they run hot, they run abused, and they do it again tomorrow. They're built with tolerances, materials, and design choices that favor function over everything else. Some are polymer workhorses, some are steel tanks, and one is a revolver throwing it back to an era before slide serration debates. But they all share the same result when it matters: zero failures. And here's the real takeaway. The difference between owning a pistol and trusting a pistol with your life is what happens under pressure. Anybody can look good on a clean range with fresh ammo and perfect lighting. The guns on this list earned their place when the conditions were terrible, the maintenance was lazy, and the stakes felt real. So if you're building a carry setup, a home defense lineup, or just want one gun you know will still be working when everything else has broken, don't get hypnotized by popularity. Look for the pistols that have already proven themselves in the dirt, the heat, the cold, and the chaos. If you made it this far, you're clearly serious about what you put in your holster or beside your bed. So here's your move. In the middle of the night, you hear a crash down the hallway. Do you really want to be swinging a long hunting shotgun around door frames? Or would you rather have a compact, purpose-built blaster that comes up fast and clears corners without slowing you down? That's exactly where the smallest home defense shotguns for 2025 shine. These aren't gimmicky miniguns you buy just because they look cool. They are compact defensive tools designed for tight hallways, cramped apartments and stairwells where every extra inch of barrel is something to snag on furniture, walls, or doorways. Instead of focusing on long-range hunting performance, they prioritize fast handling, quick target acquisition, and enough capacity to handle real-world defensive situations, all in packages that are short, maneuverable, and surprisingly comfortable, once you learn how to run them. Before diving into specific models, it helps to know why small is such a big deal indoors. On an open range, a long 28-inch shotgun is fine. Inside a hallway, it turns into a clumsy lever that sticks out around corners and is easier to grab or jam. Compact shotguns flip that script. Bullpup designs move the action behind the trigger for full-length performance in a short body, while others use 14-inch barrels and bird's head grips to slash overall length. The catch? Short and light means more recoil and less forgiveness. So the real win is a compact gun you can actually control under stress. Let's kick things off with number 7, the Kel-Tec KS7. A bullpup 12-gauge that proves small doesn't have to mean underpowered. Instead of sawing the barrel down, the KS7 keeps a full 18.5-inch barrel but moves the action and magazine behind the trigger. The result is an overall length around just 26 inches, shorter than many pistol-grip firearms that give up several inches of barrel length and a lot of velocity. You're getting full barrel performance in a package that feels almost like a compact carbine rather than a traditional shotgun. The KS7 feeds 12-gauge shells from a single tubular magazine, typically holding 6+1 or 7+1 rounds depending on the shell length. That's plenty for normal defensive encounters, especially when you remember how much a single 12-gauge load can do at across-the-room distances. The gun is also light, hovering around the 6-pound mark. That lightness makes it quick to shoulder, easy to keep at the ready, and very agile when you're slicing pie around a doorway or shifting sides in a narrow hallway. The catch, of course, is that lighter shotguns kick harder, so good technique is non-negotiable. Up top, Kel-Tec builds in a distinctive carry handle with a bright fiber optic front sight. That glowing front dot is exactly what you want when you're waking up at 3 a.m., eyes not fully adjusted, and you need something you can pick up instantly. If you don't care for the carry handle aesthetic, you're not stuck with it. You can swap it out for a rail and drop a red dot sight on top. The grip and pump are aggressively textured, so your hands don't slip when sweat, adrenaline, or even rain enter the picture. There's also an integrated handguard at the front, to make sure your support hand never creeps anywhere near the muzzle, which is a real concern on short, fast-moving guns. The KS7 is not a polished gentleman's sporting piece. The pump action can feel mechanical, and reloading the rear-mounted tube is more awkward and slower than feeding a conventional front tube pump or slapping in a detachable magazine. But for someone who wants a compact full-power 12-gauge that stays legal, offers decent capacity, and is optimized for tight spaces, the KS7 delivers a lot of practical performance in a compact, affordable package. Stepping up to number 6, things get wilder with the IWI Taver TS12, a shotgun that looks like it was ripped straight from a futuristic SWAT loadout. Again, this is a bullpup 12-gauge with an 18.5-inch barrel, but the overall length stays just over 28 inches, keeping the gun short, balanced, and easy to maneuver indoors. The TS12 is gas-operated, using a short-stroke piston system. That matters because the gas system helps soak up recoil and cycle the action smoothly, which is a huge plus when you're launching full-power buckshot in a relatively compact platform. The headline feature of the TS12 is its rotating triple-tube magazine. Instead of one long tube, the gun has 3 shorter ones wrapped under the barrel. Each tube holds around 5 2 3/4-inch shells, giving you up to 15 rounds on board, plus 1 in the chamber. That kind of capacity in a compact defensive shotgun is almost absurd in a good way. When one tube runs dry, you hit a side control and rotate the next tube into position, keeping the gun in the fight without stopping to feed individual shells. With some practice, you can manage different loads in different tubes, slugs in one, buckshot in another, and rotate to what you need. You get a full-length top rail ready for a red dot, which most owners will install since the gun doesn't come with traditional iron sights. Ergonomics are surprisingly friendly for a bullpup, with solid placement of the charging handle and safety. Once broken in and fed quality ammunition, the TS-12 cycles fast, hits hard, and offers semi-auto speed with enormous capacity. This isn't a beginner's shotgun. It's heavy compared to simple pumps, more complex mechanically, and definitely sits at a higher price point. It also demands some time investment to learn the tube rotation and the feel of a bullpup. But if the phrase short, gas-operated 12-gauge with 16 rounds on board makes your ears perk up, the TS-12 is one of the most formidable small shotguns you can stage in a hallway. Coming in at number 5, the Henry Axe .410 is proof you don't have to go full tactical black to get a useful home defense tool. It looks like something from an old-school Western show, a lever-action, cut-down, mare's leg style firearm. But it's actually a carefully designed, compact, non-NFA defensive option. Overall length sits around 26 inches with a barrel around 15 inches, keeping it short, handy, and legal in the firearm category rather than a traditional shotgun classification in many regions. The axe is chambered in .410 bore and usually runs 2.5-inch shells through a tubular magazine that holds about 5 rounds plus 1 in the chamber. Why .410 for home defense? Because recoil matters. In a lightweight, compact gun, full-power 12-gauge loads can be punishing, especially for smaller or less experienced shooters. 410, especially with modern defensive buckshot or slug loads, offers a much softer shooting experience while still delivering enough punch at typical indoor distances. It's not as forgiving as 12-gauge, but for someone who wants controllability first, it's a strong option. Henry offers different versions of the axe. You can go with a classic walnut and brass look that blends into a more traditional home, or choose a utilitarian model with polymer furniture and practical sights. Many barrels are threaded for chokes, so you can fine-tune your pattern. And some models are drilled and tapped for optics, if you want to mount a mini red dot. The lever action is smooth. The oversized loop makes cycling easy and stylish, and the whole package feels quick and nimble in tight quarters. There are real trade-offs. Capacity is limited. Reloads are slower because you're feeding shells one by one into a tube. And .410 doesn't deliver the same wall of lead as a 12-gauge buckshot load. But if you want a small defensive long gun that doesn't beat you up, offers strong visual deterrence, and feels more approachable than a brutal little 12-gauge, the Henry Axe .410 is a compelling and unique answer. Number 4 brings us back to the brutally effective world of short 12-gauge pumps with the Remington 870 TAC-14. Built on the legendary 870 action, the TAC-14 takes a proven shotgun and trims it down to a 14-inch barrel with a bird's head-style grip, ending up just over 26 inches in overall length. It looks like something a movie character would whip out when the bad guys breach the door, but beneath the drama is a lot of real-world utility. Chambered in 12-gauge, the TAC-14 typically carries about 4+1 or 5+1 rounds, depending on the exact configuration. It comes in both hardwood and synthetic furniture variants, with the wood giving it a throwback vibe that still feels very serious in the hand. The bird's head grip is not just a design flourish. It's there to help distribute recoil in a more manageable way, Instead of slamming straight back into the wrist, like many pistol grips, it rolls the recoil in an arc that, when handled correctly, can be surprisingly controllable. The beauty of the TAC-14 is that it inherits the 870's reputation. Smooth pump stroke, robust action, and a huge aftermarket. Many versions have a fore-end strap to keep your hand from sliding forward, vital on such a short shotgun. Being relatively light for a 12-gauge, it snaps up quickly, but it will let you know every time you press the trigger with full power loads. This is very much a train-with-it gun. If a shooter tries to run full-power 12-gauge shells in a TAC-14 without learning proper technique, the experience can be unpleasant and confidence-killing. But for someone willing to put in the time, the TAC-14 offers a compact, affordable, and proven defensive platform that can live behind a bedroom door or tucked away in a vehicle. At number 3 is the Mossberg 590S Shockwave, a close cousin to the TAC-14. In spirit, but with a trick up its sleeve: incredible shell flexibility. The 590S Shockwave shares the same general layout: 14-inch barrel, bird's head grip, around 26 inches overall. But the S system is designed to run 3 different shell lengths without add-on adapters: 1 3/4-inch mini shells, standard 2 3/4-inch, and 3-inch magnums. That flexibility is a game-changer. With 3-inch shells, you're looking at around 4+1 capacity. Drop down to standard 2 3/4-inch shells, and capacity jumps to roughly 5+1. Swap to mini shells, and you can pack in around 8+1 in the same compact gun. Those mini shells drastically reduce recoil and muzzle blast while still delivering meaningful defensive payloads, making the 590S Shockwave much more approachable for many shooters. You can also mix and match for different roles, though most people will keep it simple for defensive use. The gun uses Mossberg's Raptor bird's head grip to manage recoil and a strapped corncob fore-end that gives you solid purchase during fast pumping. The barrel is heavy-walled and typically wears a simple bead sight. Internally, the 590S feed system is tuned specifically to handle the short mini shells reliably, solving a long-standing reliability issue that older shotguns had with these reduced-length cartridges. As with the TAC-14, there's a learning curve, especially if you insist on using full-power loads. But the ability to dial the recoil way down with mini shells and still maintain serious capacity is what makes the 590S Shockwave stand out. For some shooters, especially those in recoil-sensitive households, it may be the sweet spot between compact size, controllable shooting, and enough capacity to feel genuinely prepared. Now we step back into semi-auto territory with number 2, the Remington V3 TAC-13. If the TAC-14 is the compact pump bruiser, the V3 TAC-13 is its smoother, gas-operated cousin that trades manual pumping for self-loading speed. It keeps the same style of bird's head grip, short overall length around 26.5 inches, and around a 13-inch barrel. But underneath the skin is Remington's VersaPort gas system. VersaPort uses different gas ports that open or close depending on shell length. Light 2 3/4-inch loads open more ports, bleeding off enough gas to run the action reliably without beating up the shooter. Heavier 3-inch loads use fewer ports, balancing power and cycling. For you, that translates into softer recoil and a gun that runs a wide variety of defensive ammunition without a lot of fuss. The V3 TAC-13 typically holds around 5+1 rounds. It uses a vent rib barrel with a bead sight, and the cylinder bore is tuned for buckshot and slugs at defensive ranges. The bird's head grip and fore-end strap help anchor your hands, and the semi-auto action means you're only worried about aiming and pressing the trigger, not shucking the pump between shots. That makes quick follow-ups much easier, especially in high-stress scenarios. There are some realities to accept. Semi-autos demand regular maintenance, quality ammo, and they usually cost more than pump guns. But for shooters who want a compact 12-gauge with significantly reduced perceived recoil and very fast shot-to-shot times, the V3 TAC-13 hits a sweet spot. It feels like it was designed specifically for close-quarters emergencies, where staying in control and getting back on target fast matter more than anything. Finally, at number 1, there's the Genesis Arms Gen 12 PDS, a shotgun that practically redefines what compact 12-gauge can mean. This is a highly specialized platform built around the idea of maximum firepower in minimal space, with one more twist. It's suppressed. The gun uses a tiny 5-inch barrel, paired with a dedicated 12-gauge suppressor that brings the total length to roughly 26 inches. That means you're holding a suppressed 12-gauge setup in a package about as long as many of the unsuppressed bird's head guns on this list. The Gen 12 PDS is a short recoil magazine-fed 12-gauge that uses an AR-style lower based on a .308 pattern. That means the controls, safety, mag release will feel instantly familiar to anyone used to ARs. It typically ships with 5-round magazines with higher capacity options available. The upper sports rails and M-lock slots so you can bolt on optics, lights, and other accessories, turning it into a true close-quarters fighting platform. The suppressor does more than just reduce noise. Indoors, 12-gauge blast is brutally loud and disorienting. A suppressor tamps down that overpressure and muzzle flash, helping preserve hearing and situational awareness when you can least afford to lose them. Coupled with the recoil system, it keeps the gun surprisingly shootable for something with such a short barrel. It's purpose-built to run a wide range of defensive 2 3/4-inch loads, giving you reliable cycling in a gun that looks more like a sci-fi breaching tool than a traditional shotgun. The catches here are big: price, legal complexity, and specialization. This is not a budget gun, and in many places owning both a suppressor and a very short 12-gauge firearm involves extra steps. The stock usually offers 2 locked positions instead of wide adjustability, and the controls are oriented mainly for right-handed shooters. But if you're looking for the absolute bleeding edge of compact shotgun capability, suppressed, mag-fed, AR-style controls, the Gen 12 PDS sits at the top of that pyramid. The right choice isn't just a spec sheet decision. It's about your recoil tolerance, your budget, how much you're willing to train, and the layout of your own home. A high-end suppressed mag-fed shotgun is useless if you can't own it legally or won't practice with it. A brutal little bird's head 12-gauge is a liability if you're afraid to pull the trigger. The real top smallest shotgun for home defense is the one that fits your hands, your nerves, and your environment, and the one you're committed to mastering long before something goes bump in the night.